begin with the death of Osama Bin Laden. President Obama told us the news last night after American Special Forces killed the al-Qaeda leader in Pakistan.
Upon hearing the news, spontaneous celebrations erupted all over the country. For the latest on some of them, here's Brian Moore in Washington.
Thanks. Former Presidents Bush and Clinton were among the first to hear the news from President Obama. This is where Osama Bin Laden met his end. Not in a cave, but a suburban mansion in Pakistan. The world's most wanted terrorist and the mastermind of 9/11, taken down by U.S. forces at the order of President Obama.
The United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama Bin Laden, the leader of al-Qaeda, and a terrorist who's responsible for the murder of thousands of innocent men, women, and children. Justice has been done.
Impromptu celebrations erupted outside the White House.
It was important to bring a wicked, murderous person to justice.
And at Ground Zero in New York. In towns large and small across the country, what can best be described as patriotic victory rallies. But for families who lost loved ones on 9/11, it's a day of closure wrapped in complex emotions. For nearly a decade, Bin Laden had taunted the United States. U.S. intelligence received a break last August.
It was far from certain, and it took many months to run this thread to ground.
And on Sunday, the president gave the go-ahead.
A small team of Americans carried out the operation with extraordinary courage and capability. After a firefight, they killed Osama bin Laden and took custody of his body.
A violent end to one of the most extraordinary manhunts in history. And a U.S. official tells NBC News that bin Laden's body has already been buried at sea. Live in Washington, I'm Brian Moore. Now back to you.
Which is custom.
Yeah.
While many Americans are celebrating the death of the most wanted man in the world.
Yeah, for the families of the victims of 9/11 and the 9/11 attacks, it is, as you can imagine, bittersweet. Hundreds of people started gathering around Ground Zero in Lower Manhattan shortly after the news came out that Bin Laden was dead. They waved flags, they sang the national anthem, and they held a moment of silence. A pilot from Colorado was one of the nearly 3,000 people killed in the terrorist attacks. His name was Jason Dahl. He was captain of United Flight 93, which went down in that field outside of Shanksville, Pennsylvania. His widow, Sandy, still lives in the Denver area and talked with 9 News on the phone last night. She told reporter Kyle Cabote that she was in as much shock when she learned that Bin Laden was dead as she was when she learned the attacks happened.
It's nothing like I expected. I'm as in shock as I was the day that I saw the airplanes flying into the buildings with perhaps my friends on them, only to find out they were my friends and my husband later, which is awful. And I'm just thinking about how diligent our military was to find him and protect us, and how diligent they will be to find who he's connected to and protect us, because this makes me a little afraid that it just might cause, people that were following him to carry out some things he was planning. And I don't want to live like a scared person, but that does bother me quite a bit. You know, I would just love to say this never happened and that people aren't really this mean, but I've been shown firsthand that they really are mean.
Well, you know, it's been almost 10 years since the events of 9/11. Did you think this day would ever come? What was it like living day to day knowing that Osama was still out there?
No, I did not. As a matter of fact, the December following September the 11th for Christmas, we passed into a box what we would each like for Christmas so the family could pick it out, and I put that I wanted Osama in a box. And everyone got sad because they knew they couldn't give that to me. But I just thought he was such a danger to the rest of the world and had hurt so many people that he just needed to be stopped. And I don't think that any court system on this earth would ever be able to serve the justice that he needs to be served. And he will now get his just rewards.
And what kind of closure does this give you?
It gives me closure to know that our military are diligent enough to not just forget about somebody who did a bad thing and let them get away with it, to find people responsible for killing Americans and making them pay for it. And it makes me feel safer knowing that our military is still chasing down the Taliban and Al-Qaeda.
And Sandy, I know that
they're still chasing us down.
I know that you're also in contact with other family members of 9/11 victims. What kind of closure do you think this brings that community?
Well, it doesn't bring our loved ones back, but there is a sense of satisfaction that the person didn't get off scot-free. They didn't just get away, do something awful and run and hide somewhere and get away and plan the next awful thing they were going to do. So the world's been relieved of a great evil, and I think we're very satisfied by that.
And finally, you know, looking forward to your own future, your family's own future, how do you think this changes things? How does this change your perception?
It changes my perspective that at times that I wanted to give up hope that I was never going to get the real story, the speculation out there that he was dead, that he was not dead. I was never really going to know what happened to the man who plotted and planned all these terrorist attacks against the United States. And I'm happy to know that it's been seen through to the end, and we have some closure. We know he's caught. We know he's dead.
Sandy Dahl, the wife of Jason Dahl, who was the pilot of Flight 93, talking to Kyle Cabote last night. So a little bit of closure anyway for those families, even though it's a time where now it brings back all the
their loved ones are still gone.
All the memories, yeah.
Yeah.
New York City, the State Department, the Pentagon, they've all raised their alert levels now, and the State Department has issued a global travel warning for all Americans abroad. Still,
Colorado's U.S. Senator Michael Bennet says bin Laden's death will help secure the safety of the next generation.
This is just one milestone. It's very significant, as the President said in his speech tonight, that justice has been done. That's the American way of doing things, and we are a just country. We're just people. We're going to continue to take the fight to these terrorists until we know that we're passing a more secure world on our kids and our grandkids.
An impromptu celebration like the ones you saw at the White House and Ground Zero was seen here in Colorado yesterday, although with a lot fewer people.
Yes, definitely. Several dozen people gathered last night over at the state capitol. It was a small crowd, but a patriotic one nonetheless, with people waving American flags and cheering. Last night we spoke with a DU professor about the success of the military's operation to find and kill bin Laden.
And the fact that it took more than 9 years where we would be ridiculed in the Muslim world for not being able to apprehend Osama Bin Laden, and then the precision, the professionalism, and the persistence and commitment that we had for the last 9 and 7 months period, and then we are successful in this operation.
Our coverage of the death of Osama Bin Laden continues all morning long. Stay with the networks of 9 News, both online and on air, for the latest updates to one of the biggest stories of the year. Again, it was a Special Forces and Navy SEALs team that went into this compound where he was staying about an hour outside of Islamabad, and they shot Osama Bin Laden in the head. Yeah,
there's going to be a lot more coming out, obviously, about the operation, and also, hopefully, about just how this could happen, where Osama bin Laden was hiding in the middle of Pakistan, less than an hour from the capital. Did the country know about it? Did their leaders know about it? Did they help us with this thing? Apparently they did. The helicopters reportedly took off from air bases in Pakistan. But lots more going to come out today, so it'll be pretty interesting.
Again, this all happened yesterday afternoon, and then the President confirmed it last night around 8:30. We were asleep at the time. My husband woke me up to tell me, but so we'll have much more on this story throughout the day. Big news.